Welcome to my channel, INTJ Island. Today I'm going to talk about an INTJ moving forward, or how to just pick one thing and do it. A few days ago, I woke up with a mind in chaos. I had things pulling me in various directions. It was like a machine gun going through each possibility, firing a round before going to the next one. But unlike a gun, the rounds don't go away. They come back around for another go. I will touch on 10 of the items that had me tied up. The first item is that I need to finish my book, Firing the Colts, which is the sequel to my first novel. It is written to a fairly finished draft and needs just a bit of polish to get it all the way there. However, I have been mulling over some possible changes as well, which would extend that process considerably. The second item that popped into my head is related to the first, in that there is another version of the sequel that I have dubbed the Colt Valley. It is significantly longer and less well polished. The actual sequence of writing for this series went from a very long document that covered over 130 years of Addis history. However, I ran into the issue of word count. So I decided to break the document up into two parts in order to get the word count down into the recommended neighborhood for science fiction novels. And I could then get Reloading the Colts ready to publish. Once I got the first one into the box, ready to go, I then returned to the remainder, which grew into the Colt Valley. I had to modify many details because, in finalizing Reloading the Colts, I had to change things around a bit to reach an ending that would work for Book 1. That left a number of dangling threads in the sequel that had to be connected up. At the start, I wrote a novel because I could invest the time in order to do it. Then, 130,224 words later, after writing and repeatedly rewriting every part of the book and having it proofread and then making corrections and properly formatting it, I could finally have it published as a digital book, and there it was. It was really an ebook. Next, I went into InDesign and created a print format version for the cover and the text, and uploaded that to CreateSpace and had it certified as print ready. And finally, a real hard copy book was available to the public. It was a great feeling to slip a copy of my book onto my shelf next to a book written by the man I was named for, Glenn A. Kuhn. It was only at the end that I fully appreciated the fact that I had invested nearly a year on the project. By that, I mean a year of full-time work. Some days I wrote for 12 hours, others I wrote for 6 hours, but all told, it was very close to a year of 48-hour work weeks. It truly amazes me how people can do that in their spare time. I was then in a quandary as to what to do with this large and growing remaining part. I decided to do what I had already done once and break off a part of the story and create Book 2, Firing the Colts, and set to work on polishing that one up. As I polished it, I moved the polished parts into the Colt Valley to keep it up to date with the changes, so Book 3 would be less of a problem than I had when I created the first book. But still today, I am struggling as to whether or not I should simply finish the Colt Valley and publish a longer book. The book Firing the Colts currently has 91,522 words and stops at the end of year 18 on planet Addis, and there are only 7 inhabitants on the planet. The book, The Colt Valley, currently has 246,748 words, and it covers the first century on the planet Addis. And the population is into the thousands, and they are already looking to start up another planet in another star system within their galaxy. The Colt Valley covers all of Firing the Colts, plus the additional years, and is in a rough draft mode. In fact, I did this one first, and once I realized how long it was getting, it inspired me to trim it down to the shorter tome. If you combine the word counts of Reloading the Colts and the Colt Valley, you get 376,972. If I go that route, the book will only get longer because it is in the rough draft mode, and that means I have to polish up the entire thing. The work I did with Firing the Colts covered the first 84,032 words of the Colt Valley, and by polishing it, I found that it had grown to 91,522 words. So it added around 9%. If you apply that to the entire Colt Valley, it would grow to about 269,750 words. That would push Reloading the Colts and The Colt Valley combined to almost exactly 400,000 words. By comparison, Atlas Shrugged is 561,996 words long, and the Lord of the Rings trilogy has a total of 455,125 words. If I broke the sequel content into 3 books, making 4 in the series, or I just make the entire thing a trilogy, it almost certainly would end up being very large. However I play this, there remains a huge amount of work ahead of me if I'm going to pursue this project. And judging from the results so far from book sales from Reloading the Colts, I can't reasonably expect much of a financial return on my efforts. I will, however, get a tremendous feeling of accomplishment if I complete this project, and that is something I value highly. And something only another author might relate to, I enjoy reading my own books. I'm sure that it is because I write about topics I enjoy, and revisiting the work I put into the philosophical journey of Stacy Colt is of great value to me on a personal level. It is a project I am glad I started, even if it never gets published at all. My mind moved from the book project to item number 3. I had the idea running around about starting a short story on life as a second-generation android on Addis. I was even caught in a trap of where I couldn't sleep one night because I was working out some of the story details. A few weeks ago, I wrote out another complete Addis short story for this YouTube channel that I never recorded and put up. Maybe a book of short stories based on that universe might be good. Then, for the 4th item, my mind jumped to an idea that I have been contemplating for some time, of creating a fiction YouTube channel where I can pour my creative ideas into stories to present online. My fiction stories on this channel have not gotten a lot of views, and that may indicate another channel might be appropriate, where I can do the videos without cluttering up my work here with other things. But where would I find the time? And then I moved on to idea number 5, which was taking one of my short stories in my Mind Over Magic book and turning it into a full-length novel. I have already done that with one of them when I created my Reloading the Colts book and the sequels. That entire set of novels came from one short story in this book. There are other stories there I could easily turn into books as well. And that led my mind to item 6, the idea of resurrecting the horror story Sharon's Cabin from my now no longer offered book 5 Surprises, and either going for a horror novel or a collection of horror short stories. I could feel myself getting bogged down, so the 7th thing I got to thinking about was working on a substantial schedule for my time to get the most out of my daily routine. Perhaps YouTube for a certain amount of time, and writing for an allotted amount of time, and so forth. When I first wake up in the morning, it is my most productive time of day, and on some days my mind is running on overdrive the moment I open my eyes. My mind then jumped to the 8th item, when I thought about my brilliant little granddaughter, and an idea I had of writing a PHP program to help her with her learning. There's a lot I could do with that. I wrote a program back in 1984 on a little 16K machine that put up random times on the screen so I could teach my youngest son how to read an analog clock. It really worked well, and at the time he was the same age as my granddaughter is now. And of course the 9th thing was something that hits me every day, coming up with a new video idea. What would be the best next topic for me to address? And finally, that led me to the 10th idea of the morning, that I should finish the video I had already started, but that had bogged me down while I was working on it. I had spent an entire day on it, and it didn't feel as though it were getting anywhere near completion. The past year, I set writing stories aside mostly, though not completely, and focused upon this YouTube channel. I have gone through a massive learning curve, and I still don't know half of what I want to know about making videos. I have to give credit here to one YouTuber who calls herself the Little Shaman. I'll put a link in the description to her channel. She gave me the idea of doing my own channel. It was the format that did it. I found her channel because she talked about narcissism, which I was interested in order to learn more about a few such people I have known over the years. But the screen never changed as she talked. It was a podcast with just one visual slide. My reaction was, I could do that. And soon I was digging into how to create a channel and working on finding a method for producing a video I could upload. Suddenly, I was on my way. But part of me hasn't given up the urge to write. And so, as I said, I awoke with a very busy mind. and it was 2 in the morning. My brain wouldn't stop shouting at me about how I needed to be doing something, but I was stuck in the mud because all of these projects were demanding to be heard. I knew that these were not all of equal value or within immediate reach, but my mind continued to run through them, and part of me wanted to do each one of them. But then, all at once, the drill sergeant inside me took charge and shouted, "Shut up and listen. One thing. I need one thing and only one thing to do right now. Pick one and do it." And it worked. The power of making this decision was immediately evident to me. I went from being frozen in place by a multitude of worthy tasks, each clamoring for my attention, to being fully directed at just one task and moving straight into it and through it right to the end. Completion. I love that feeling of having it completed. As it turned out, the partially completed video won the day, and I set everything else aside and focused on finishing it. As I got going, I realized that the things about that video that were hanging me up before were trivial, and I could do them, and would be okay. The audio was already done. The biggest task I had remaining was finding the right visuals from tens of thousands of our pictures on my hard drive, or from the royalty-free site pixels.com. It turned out to be fun, even though there was still a lot to do. But I finished creating, uploading, and publishing the video that day. When I am fully engaged in a topic, I don't often struggle with direction. However, once I have hit the target and reached my goal, then the door opens to branching out in other directions. With choices comes the obligation of making decisions. When the weight of one item against other items is far less or far greater than the others, the decision is easy. If it is low, then it can easily be ignored. If it is truly great, it will win out and hold my focus. But when the items start to equalize in weight, that is when it gets tricky. And weight on a priority list must include both the immediate benefits and the long-term benefits combined. You have to separate out the merely urgent from the truly important. It is very easy to get bogged down by overthinking the weight factor. The point of this video is not about what you choose to do. Only you can assign value in the proper amount to any task that you focus upon. However, what I am discussing is letting go. Choose one and let the others slide for now. Do the one thing that you think is most important this moment. Free your mind of distractions, even the ones that have true merit and that you value greatly. Set them aside and focus on that one thing you are going to do today, right now, and then do it. Another point that is probably something most INTJs will relate to, my struggle is internal. I can easily deflect demands from others when I am pursuing my own priorities. Sorry, but I'm busy. I'm sure I appear to be a stubborn mule when others try to move me out of my path. What is extremely difficult for me is when I am faced with my own priority set and it feels too evenly balanced to automatically grab onto just one of them. I have to think about it. And once I get into a thinking loop, I can be lost for a very long time. Once you are facing a standstill, because no one item on your list is a clear automatic choice, it therefore follows that which one you choose will be far less important than actually choosing one of them to act upon. Once you have one in hand and you have turned your back on the others for now, you have succeeded because you know you will get it done. And then you will feel the joy of completion that you love so much. So tell me, how do you shake off disruptive chaos and move forward in your daily life? Please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please click like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you click on the bell, you will also receive notifications when I put up a new video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.